She doesn't want to manage, even to this day. She's like, I don't want to manage. I just want to do what I do, which is teach and content, the things she's passionate about. And I said, what about this, this, and that? And she heard me. She, emailed some other people and said, Randy wants to try this. We're going to do that. Here we go. I feel supported. I feel trusted. I feel heard. I feel a part of the team. There's very rarely a time where I'm like, hold on, Melissa, I'm not sure about this. But if I ever had to, I know that she would hear me out. I'm not afraid to come to her with ideas. She lets me carry out my ideas.
She implemented some new ideas. She offered out some new products because she has the same background I have in terms of teaching the exam. And so for that rest of the year it's a steady increase, right? 7,000, 12,000, 14,000, 19,000, 20,000, 27, 40, 40,000, more 40,000.
And she never looked back. Like it never went lower than that. Like it just started to like double, triple, quadruple.
And we got up to 50,000 and I was like, I'm ready to make 100,000. I'm ready to go big or go home. And I had to anchor in this belief. So what was happening around that time is David and I had the baby, but we went to Michigan to have the baby because we didn't have a house in Illinois. Remember, David got us that little tiny place to live in. I wasn't gonna have my baby there. I didn't want to bring my baby home there. It was a small little place we were in. I wanted to have my baby at home, so we went to Michigan. And magically, the renters that he had at his house wanted to leave. And so the whole time that we were up in Michigan focused on the baby, back in Illinois, his friend was remodeling our house, the house that he had rented out to tenants for a while. And that was a little bit stressful because we had to pay cash for everything. I didn't have 2 years of tax. In order to get any type of loan, you need 2 years of taxes. And so we had to pay cash, $15,000 roof, $4,000 kitchen, $12,000 flooring, $4,000 AC unit. Like it was multiple things.
It was quite stressful. Though I think the worst part was for me is that I could not, because we were having a baby up in Michigan, that I could not be here for the remodel for most of it. Pretty controlling about it because I want it done my way. There are things that happened that I wanted that didn't happen, that I had written down on a list of things that needed to be done, that was more important to me that didn't get done. It is what it is, it's too late to go back and try and change it,
And so this whole time that I'm like focused on my baby, Christine and I are working on my money beliefs and knowing that that money just comes in, money flows in.
And what I always reminded Melissa, I used to say, you can pull money out of a hat. Like you can pull money out of her. Like that's a talent that you have, and you get to keep reminding yourself that that's what you have. And so anytime she brings, she's like, well, I know I can pull money out of my ass. Like I know I can pull it out of a hat. I know it gets to come. And so that's just a core belief. Like she knows that it's always going to come. And she just kept proving that and creating more evidence of proof of that every single time. And so if you take anything from this and if you can celebrate every single dollar in, every single dollar out, because a lot of times we get mad when we spend or when we have to pay a bill or do something, instead of celebrating that the money is here to pay it and trusting that it gets to come back tenfold, threefold, 2 times more, all of those ways. If you can just be in that energy every time you're handling money and appreciating it so much, looking around you at everything that you have used money for, and just show yourself that you aren't broke. You have all these things in front of you. You're on a phone or you're watching this or you're doing like money paid for that. And the more you can say, wow, thank you, money, for being there. Thank you for being there for me. Thank you for supplying like all of these things and this and this and this and that, and showing yourself how money has already shown up for you. Then you get to say, well, you get to continue to show up for me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Right. And that's a big, big piece of trusting money to come and to multiply and continue to multiply.
And I had this struggle because it was like, I'm not focused on my business. I'm focused on my baby and the house. And yet I'm expecting more money to come in. I had this belief that my eyes had to be on my business in order for more money to come in. David would tell me, hey, we need this much money to make this repair. You need to have it by this date. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm working on learning how to nurse my baby. It was an interesting time, but Christine held me through it all. And the thing is that you've got to move despite the fear. You have to keep going no matter how scary or terrifying it is.
What I've learned is to be even better with being a vision holder, a person that you can tell me you want to be a Kaplan killer and $1 billion corporation. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Let's go. You know, there's no doubt in my mind whenever, especially when Melissa says, this is what we're going to do. I'm like, of course we are. Now let's put the plan together and let's energetically align with it, but let's also take the action towards it. And so just being in this experience has even expedited and improved my ability to be the vision holder and to be there even when it's hard, so that she can come back and I can remind her of the vision and remind her of what we get to do and what she gets to create, and that this is already put in stone. We already set the GPS. That's what your vision is. It's GPS, and we're in the car. And so it's just about going and following the route because you're going to get there regardless. And I think that's something that's very important in mentorship, that you can hold the vision even in the difficult times.
So where there were moments where I'm like, there's no like, cancel the flooring appointment. There were times where I'm like, you got to put it off. Like, we can't do it. And he was like, no, it's going to be this date. We have to have the money ready by this date. And somehow it always just worked out exactly on time, exactly how we needed it. Like, always, like, and that's like the greatest movies always have the biggest cliffhangers, and then everything works out perfectly. And that's basically how the whole journey went. So we came home after having the baby sometime in August and in September, and we began to settle in. I decided around September and October that I wanted to have $100,000 months. I wanted to go big or go home, basically. If I can go from $220 a month, my first month, to up to $50,000 months, and even in October of 23, $60,000 months, I was like, let's shoot for $100,000 months. And we were in the middle of moving into the house, coming back from Michigan, moving in. My office is not really an office. Like, the house is kind of disarrayed. When you got a newborn or a couple months old baby, there's a lot happening. David is also now gone all the time going hunting. And so I'm all by myself at the house with the baby, who requires like 24-hour focus. And I wanted to be making $100,000 a month. And I begin to declare it. I begin to tell people I want to make $100,000 a month. And I even had an insurance call center reach out to me and say, we would like to buy, or we want to work together so that you can help our agents pass. And I grabbed my laptop and I'm trying to figure out, like, making a proposal, showing them what I could do. And to me, I was like, this is it. This is the $100,000 ticket. I'm going to offer them a 6-figure proposal. They'll be able to use my services for a year. I'm going to ask them for $150,000, and I would create a curriculum for them for their agents. When I submitted the proposal, I immediately felt like that's not enough money. If I'm in the middle of taking care of my baby pretty much alone because David is gone hunting and we want him, like, it's very important to me to have fresh, organic, healthy meat. And it's not like the deer just line up. So he's got to go hunting every day to bring in as much meat as possible. So he's gone all day long. I'm with the baby all by myself. How am I going to be able to dedicate all this time to creating the content to lock in this proposal? So when I sent it to them, I immediately felt like that's not enough. This isn't going to be all right. And I also realized that if I'm going to be 6-figure me, I wouldn't feel this stressed. In my mind, if I'm making 6 figures a month, I'm at peace. I have a beautiful, clean, organized home. I have a beautiful office. None of those things were in place. And luckily, they declined the proposal. And I actually had this sense of relief, like, oh, thank God, because there's no way I could have pulled off what I said I was going to pull off, and it wouldn't have felt like enough money. This has been the journey. This has been a journey of healing my relationship with money. Because even when I go back to, like, I joked about charging David $997 to work with me one-on-one. The fear of establishing that price and offering it to people and putting it on my Facebook page, I started at $33 an hour, and now I'm telling people it's $997.